Bayile, thank you very much for coming along today. It's great to see you again. And what an amazing session we've just had talking about social mobility in the sense of entrepreneurship. So thank you so much for your time this afternoon. And it'd be great just to spend a few minutes if you could just talk about who you are and the organisation that you lead. Some of the work you do, and then let's chat about some of the things we talked about this afternoon. And we're going to do it over tea and cake because we are here with our coffee and cake.
I'm Bayile Adeoti. I'm the founder of Dechomai. We're a social enterprise that stimulates entrepreneurship within the global majority community. I'm also the co-founder of a tech startup called BobbAI. And our mission is to provide business support, information that's actionable, relevant, and impactful to entrepreneurs in real time.
Fantastic! Wow, that's there's so much in that to talk about. So, in the sense of we'll talk about BobbAI a bit later in the conversation. So that's really exciting and really interesting. This afternoon we just had a group together of entrepreneurs in residence from the network and enterprise leads, etc., talking about the barriers to entering entrepreneurship for people of all different barriers, whether it's ethnicity or whether it's social mobility, etc. Tell us a little bit about your very early story in terms of what got you into this space and why you do what you do, and then we'll couch the rest around that.
So when I was 16 years old, I took part in the Young Enterprise Company program, Ross. And for anyone who doesn't know, it's an opportunity to create a business over a 6 to 7 month period in your school with your classmates. You get to trade, you get to do all the things that it takes to run a business. I did that, and I'm so grateful to my guidance teacher, Mrs. Ritchie, who just realized I needed something more in class. I coasted through school, C student, B in German, really important, the only B in German. And Mrs. Ritchie just gave me that challenge, but it stimulated something in me. I enjoyed it. I actually loved it. And I just thought, gosh, I am really good at things. I'm creative and I think outside the box. So when I said to my dad, I want to go and study business, he said, what are you going to do? You can't start a business. We don't know any entrepreneurs. And I thought, right, okay. So I do it for the 16-year-old me who was told she couldn't do it.
Yep.
She didn't know any entrepreneurs, and there's probably other 16-year-olds in different circumstances across the whole world who don't have a role model or someone that they can inspire coming as role model. And the funny thing is, Ross, both my parents were entrepreneurs.
Right.
They never saw themselves as entrepreneurs, and they didn't see themselves as someone that I can look up.
And do you think that's something that is often the case, that people don't see themselves as entrepreneurs? They may be involved in entrepreneurial thinking and activities, but don't necessarily relate that to being an entrepreneur and therefore accessing some of the support and things like that.
Yeah, I think most people just see it as, I'm just doing this as a side hustle. But when you're making more money than your normal job, your 9 to 5, and you're doing something right, and it's that support, it's a lack of support. And that's what at Dechomai we see ourselves as a bridge to the Main Street ecosystem, providing the support, the information, and even just the guidance to say, you do have a business idea, let's explore that. Is it a business? Is it a side hustle? Or is it a hobby?
Yeah.
And let's explore that and see where it will take you. One of the entrepreneurs that was on this program, her name is Toby. And Toby has this idea of a health tech business. And as soon as she'd said it, I was like, wow, this is amazing. She's working in a care agency and she's identified this issue. The care agency is actually sponsoring her visa, but she's realized that there are barriers with care agencies too. Since Toby's been on our program, the first week she finished, the following week she was at Glasgow Uni taking part in the health tech hackathon.
And how do you, and finding these people or connecting with these people, rather than finding things, slightly odd thing to say, connecting with these individuals. One of the things we talked about earlier on was really having to think hard about how you go about doing that. So some of the projects you've done recently where you've had to think very, not outside the box, but very clearly about connecting. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah. So actually, Ross, we've been running enterprise programs since 2020, since May 2020, and it's actually always been through word of mouth. So one of the examples was we run an accelerator we had 55 people on the accelerator. We spent £400 on social media marketing and advertising. We got one person.
Right.
54 came from word of mouth, through community groups, through people who've done our programs before, who just finished the accelerator with Glasgow Riverside Innovation District and Glasgow City Innovation District. And we had 27 people in that accelerator, of which 20 had been referred to us. And the other 5 had heard about us indirectly. And then when they asked around, they were told, go on.
So that word of mouth, and I mean, clearly that's a reputational thing, but that's built on something. It's got to be built on how you go about this. It's yes, people will come along and they will talk very positively if they've got had a great experience and had a positive outcome. But there's something about finding these people, connecting with them, that I think let's call it I think you referred to it as mainstream entrepreneurial teaching and support doesn't happen. What's the gap there?
Okay, so we've got the intellectual property for a certain phrase.
Yep.
We've got intellectual property for business midwives.
Oh, right. Okay.
So we are business midwives.
Yeah.
I help birth and start businesses in safe and supported environments. And we do that through the nurturing environment. So it's lots of hand holding.
Yeah.
I tell entrepreneurs who come to our program, I will unpick your business and then put it back together, and hopefully be the vision because what we find is that the entrepreneurs are actually holding back. They present us a business, and what we're actually seeing isn't its full, they're not presenting it as full potential.
Okay.
And as a midwife, we have an opportunity to nurture and care and then birth what it's meant to be. So, for example, we had an entrepreneur and she came up with a tech business, and it was upskilling people as a data analyst. And I took that business apart and put it back together.
What did it end up? Is that data? What was it?
She's baking cakes.
She's baking cakes.
If she was to die today and regret not doing something, she'd regret not growing that cake business.
Interesting. So there's something about unlocking the passion in people,
the passion,
sort of really,
potential,
and the potential. What they get out of bed in the morning and want to do.
So it was 2 ladies.
Yeah.
And they came in on our accelerator to do just that.
Okay.
So one is still pursuing that business.
Yep.
But the other one's baking cakes.
Yes.
And she's in the background supporting the data analytics. But she's like, her business partner said, you need to pursue the cakes or you're going to live to regret it for the rest of your life.
Yeah. And that's, it's seizing that opportunity at that point and identifying it, understanding it, and then accepting it and going for it. Yeah.
And because I know I was impacted, I was transformed, and I see the power of what these programs do for young people, because we don't all fit into the box that society tells us, and we need supportive teachers, and the teachers are trying to do the best, but we also need people in colleges to tell us, you can do this, you can keep going. We need people like Fraser do the business model canvas here in a really chilled out session. And even just having them mock up businesses. When you actually meet these students, they don't want to talk about young enterprise. They ask you things like, how do you speak in public? How do you deal with anxiety? They're going through so much, and they need other people's voices and encouragement to keep them going, to say you can do it, or go for an apprenticeship. You get to earn and learn at the same time. And then we also like to create opportunities for them. And open up the opportunities for them. So for using our Ignite program again, we invited the rest of the ecosystem, say, come and support these entrepreneurs that you're going to end up supporting. They're going to go through your program and different things, but also just opening them out to funding opportunities. So we created a funding event in association with Social Investment Scotland. Put funders in the room, we put nice food on, and just had a great time. And it's when we ended up actually having 40 entrepreneurs, because we extended it to other people we've supported. So, and the funders themselves were like, this is absolutely amazing.
Because that funding thing, I mean, we talk about as an entrepreneur needing sort of intellectual capital, i.e. knowledge, and I think there's I'm going to add in passion capital. I haven't worked out what that one is, but yeah, it's that kind of passion. But there's also relationship capital, connecting people, and then the financial capital. And you produced an access report. Tell us a little bit about that as well, because that's really fundamental to the communities that you work with.
So we partnered with First Pot and Social Investment Scotland to investigate the barriers to ethnic minority social entrepreneurs accessing social investment in Scotland. It was part of the Scottish Ecosystem Fund provided by Scottish Enterprise and the Scottish Government. I have to acknowledge First Pot and Social Investment Scotland for filling in that application form, because we would never got it at Dechomai. And I know that's quite harsh to say, but we also were given the freedom to explore and to investigate, and then to come up with a report that basically just said what entrepreneurs were experiencing, the barriers. And, application forms are like Harvard applications. The language isn't inclusive, and just investigating that. But something I have to celebrate is, off the back of that, organisations like First Pot and Social Investment Scotland have changed. So First Pot launched the first ever investment readiness programs for diverse entrepreneurs, and they had it was 60% founders from ethnic minority communities, 30% of the founders identified from LGBTQ communities. So they'd never had anything like that before. And even the facilitators were from diverse communities. So you can't be what you can't see, and you can't be talked at. So you need people who understand your background, what you've gone through, your journey, to be able to deliver something. And that's something we also do at Dechomai. For the Ignite program, is the most diverse facilitators we've ever had. 80% came from an ethnic minority community. And it was some facilitators that I'd met, for example, through Strathclyde University, through just LinkedIn, that they came to deliver on a Saturday. And we also had to make it inclusive and delivering in times that suited people, and not being the barrier. I don't want to ever be the barrier for someone being the entrepreneur that they're meant to be. I hope to be the fire spark that in someone.
And the enabler. So there's so many things in what you just talked about there. So the barriers, so finding the barriers. We talked earlier about listening. So there's something to talk about listening. We'll come back to the bit about role models of a similar type. We'll come back to that in a moment. But talk about the barriers. This idea of it's a Saturday. How do you find out what they wanted?
I guess, we just asked people, and we've run accelerators before, and on a Wednesday night and a Tuesday night, we've had 37 women on Zoom, and then their husbands have been listening in, because they're either business partners or the husbands actually also want to start a business. So we realized that we can't do programs around our schedules. And I'm also a mother. So I've got a child and he's got activities. So I tend to work continental hours too, Ross. So I'll work from 9:30 until about 3:00. And if I'm at home, or 9:30 until 2:30, then I need to do the school pickup. So then I'll work in the evening. And we have to also acknowledge that Pathways report acknowledges that, the NSET acknowledges that, there's reports in England that also acknowledge that we need to think outside our usual we need to just think outside the box.
Listen to what, and I'm sitting here feeling guilty because this isn't the afternoon and it's going to spell through.
Today's a busy day.
Yeah.
My 5-year-old son, he was 5 at the time, he's 7, turning 8, stepped into Glasgow University before me. Through his school, he was invited for a school trip, and his school does this trip every single year for primary ones. And so he was invited in, and I remember thinking, this is great. And at the time, I didn't even think, gosh, Mike is going to Glasgow Uni before you. And it was only a year later, we're going to a Christmas carol event at the Wellington Church. And as I was trying to find parking, Mike starts naming, Mummy, do you know that's the Hunterian Library? Mummy, do you know that's that building? Mummy, do you know that's that building? And I was like, Mike knows these buildings. And he said, and I've been in them all, Mummy. I've also got the Young Enterprise company program final in Glasgow, and supporting young people again. And it's all about that social mobility, increasing aspirations. So I'll be going there after. So I plan that from here, from Paisley, straight to Glasgow city centre.
You don't stop, do you? I mean, you're running a new startup. You're building a new startup. You're running numerous programs. I mean, and you have a family, so it's there's a lot on.
Yeah, Ross, I didn't think these opportunities would be afforded to me, and there's some opportunities that when they come my way, I grab them with both hands. I grab them with both hands because I think, gosh, like I've actually got this opportunity. I think one of the exams that I shared in there was I stumbled upon a course during lockdown, and I thought it was support entrepreneurs, and that's the way I read it, support entrepreneurs, and it was that course. But the course was actually how to become an entrepreneur in residence and to read case studies and to be able to develop. And I remember thinking, gosh, like I've it's only me, it's Bayile, me, myself, and I'm not going to be an entrepreneur in residence. And lo and behold, like 4 years later, I'm an entrepreneur in residence.
You are.
And I'm just so grateful.
Yeah,
that
Glasgow Clyde, isn't it? Yeah,
at Glasgow Clyde College, and it's so grateful that I had the opportunity to be on that 6-week course. So yeah, to ask to be an entrepreneur in residence, I'm going to jump and grab that with both hands.
that opportunity. I mean, first of all, seizing those opportunities from doing that and working out how to fit it together, which is a huge challenge and talent to be able to do that. But if you talk a little bit about the entrepreneur in residence, so I want to just touch on one of the things that we're trying to do with the Entrepreneurs in Residence Network is really attract people who can inspire the latent potential that's in our students and staff, because it's both students and staff. You may not think that they've got it's something they want to do, or it's an opportunity that they can actually have access to. So actually connecting with different communities, particularly in the social mobility space. I mean, conversations we've had in the past around students attend university, and they often have a full-time course, a full-time job to fund it, and they might be caring for a relative. So those ideas of thinking outside the box to think about how do we make it possible for them to explore, to inspire them, and then allow them to explore. Those are the challenges I think that we need to really address. So
I guess in my role at this moment in time, especially because Clyde College has never had anything like this, and many colleges in Scotland have never had an entrepreneur in residence. So the first part of my remit is to stimulate that with the students, especially because there's other business support that's no longer in the colleges. So we're trying to make sure that the students know the support. And they've created me a lovely hub in the Cardonald campus. And that's Cardonald College was actually the college I went to.
oh wow,
So it's a full circle moment for me. And that's why Clyde is so apt for me.
Yeah.
And the students can come to me, and then next will be the faculty.
Yeah.
And especially when we're looking at Langside, it'll be the community too. We want to make sure that it's 3 touch points. So I know there's still a journey for me to go to, because the faculty themselves, when I said I'm moving on to faculty at the end of this year, they were like, really? And I was like, yeah, I'm sure many of you are doing contractual work. That's a business. Like, that's how can we grow that business? Could you hire other people? Let's look into the communities. Langside's so diverse. Cardonald, wee Mary in Govan, what can she do in her house? And even in Annie's Land, what can we do to stimulate that entrepreneurship and get the conversation going, but also make our buildings really inviting for the communities to know they can get access, support, and advice.
Yeah, this latent potential, it's big, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what do we have figures on what sort of size of opportunity we're leaving on the table?
When it comes to diverse communities, it sits about 75 billion.
Billion.
Ooh. Billion.
Huge.
And in Scotland alone, I would say that figure is between 1 to 5 billion.
Yeah.
And obviously, like some of these figures that we're getting are coming from England.
Yeah.
We've still to actually sit down and do the research for Scotland. And I was like, you're a £3 million business and you've not received business support. There's people like Isla around our institutions. They need our support, and they don't need to go to Business Gateway. They don't need to go elsewhere. They just need to come through the universities, because you got everything in this room to support them. Isla has got innovative products in her aesthetic salon. She's like got products and machinery, the only ones in Scotland, basically. She has people coming from Dubai bringing in these products. She's well known in the community. But what if UWS could go and say, actually, we'll come to you. What business support do you need? I think also something that I've been saying is, rather than focusing on unicorns, or even if we focus on £50 million businesses, how can we scale business £50 million or £10 million? Because I think there's not many female entrepreneurs. Even there's only 80 female entrepreneurs in the whole of the UK as super scalers.
Yeah, over 100 million.
Over 100 million.
Yeah.
I know Poonam Gupta is one of those in Scotland, but who else is doing that in Scotland? And then I was talking about this with Matthew, my co-founder at BobbAI, and he was like, oh, Bayile, we can do that. And I was like, I'd be happy with 50 million. And he was like, yeah, hundreds, it's DCE. But then I was also thinking, well, who are the female entrepreneurs doing 50 million in Scotland? Who are the female entrepreneurs doing 10 million? I don't know many Black entrepreneurs doing 50 million in Scotland. Are there? I know Asian entrepreneurs doing that. And what are these barriers? Why is this opportunity being left untouched?
Yeah, and that's some of the things we did touch upon in terms of how to sort of open up the opportunities and the thoughts and that. You touched on BobbAI there, and you said your business and when you're going to grow it to 100 million, because I did hear that 15 million. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about BobbAI and what's coming.
Okay, so BobbAI has been formed by myself and Matthew Kendrick, and it's in response to the Civ Tech Challenge that the Scottish Government put. And it was, how can technology support startup entrepreneurs and help Scotland become a startup nation? And we identified startup entrepreneurs as, well, technology, first of all, being an AI agent. Startup entrepreneurs are people doing side hustles, people, inventors, business owners, who, even the word itself, entrepreneurship, is quite intimidating. And accessing information, we need information that's actionable, relevant, impactful, real, pertinent for every single person's business. So as a social entrepreneur supporting entrepreneurship, I don't really need information, I don't think at this moment in time, about the space sector. Because I don't support the space sector. Not yet, but maybe
one day.
One day.
I can see it.
Yeah, so I don't need that information, but I get lots of emails telling me about what's happening in the space sector in Scotland and different things like that. And as entrepreneurs, we're bombarded with all these emails, invitation to events that aren't actually relevant for our businesses. But what if we got the right information? You have been invited to this event supporting small businesses, and you're going to meet X, Y, and Z funder. We noticed by your profile that you identify that exporting is a weakness, and you don't know. We have identified these exporting opportunities and exporting workshops. So this is the type of information that we're trying to push out through BobbAI. We're also getting information from what already exists in the ecosystem. So there's over 200 business support organizations
in Scotland,
and we're taking the information from their newsletters, from Eventbrite, and we're pushing it out. And if you could just help promote that, because once again, we realize that entrepreneurs don't get access to information. And we were talking at lunchtime about the amount of business support. Last year was 294 listed on the ecosystem guide. Now it's about 200 and something listed on the ecosystem guide. There's still 504 support organizations, Lewis knows, and it's a maze when it comes to accessing entrepreneurial support. But we're hoping that BobbAI will help people and just streamline and focus their support. And there's so much opportunity because entrepreneurs exist everywhere in the world. You've been talking to people across the world about this, and everyone's excited because ecosystems exist
everywhere. And they connect, and it's so important to connect them. Well, I for one am definitely looking forward to that, because my inbox explodes with stuff that is sort of relevant, but you kind of worry that you're going to miss something, but if something will help me filter that out and also find the stuff that I will miss.
Yeah.
So many times I read on LinkedIn about an event that happened a couple of days ago because people are celebrating the event. Very rarely those events I would have liked to have gone to, but actually didn't know about. So I think this is fantastic. These tools to help us to connect with the right people, the right relationships, the relationship capital, and the right knowledge, and ultimately finance to do that as well. I think that'd be fantastic to see that when it comes out. So looking forward to it. So
Yeah. And I think even just like if we go back to business support, so if we go back to being an entrepreneur in residence and all those who engage with entrepreneurs in college and university, we've also got that opportunity to connect the entrepreneurs. I wouldn't actually be here, Ross, had it not been for my lecturer at college that identified opportunities for me to go to Paris. And she actually was like, Bayile, you're really good at German. Would you do a crash hire? I did the crash hire at college.
wow.
She was like, do a crash hire in German. So that's where I got my B. And then even, through the Help to Grow program and just the opportunities that door has opened. So we've also got those opportunities to open doors for others and keep the doors open so that more people can come in. And that's why we named it Access, because we wanted to open the door so that others would come in, and we never shut the door and say Scotland's open for you to do business. Scotland's open for you to thrive in your business, but to also grow your business, because we want to see, and coming back from Estonia, we want to see more businesses based in Scotland, starting in Scotland and staying in Scotland. We don't need to go anywhere else. We've got the ecosystem.
We have, yeah. And then connecting that ecosystem up is really important. And the idea of having a door that is open and remains open, and also a bridge into these other organizations, I think is some of the things that we've spoken about this afternoon have really resonated. Thank you so much for this afternoon session. People have walked out really buzzing with thoughts and challenges as well, because we don't have all the solutions, but we are on a journey to get there. To really bring social mobility to the heart of what we're doing, to help encourage and support those people who have such potential, as you said before. Thank you for all the work you do and the tremendous work that you do, and your willingness to share that is really, really important. So thank you for so much, and look forward to continuing working with you. Thank you for taking the time to listen today. If you've been inspired by what you've heard, please head over to LinkedIn and search for The Connected Network. That's connected with a hyphen, and join our community of like-minded people. You can also access our resource centre and discussion threads under the Connected Group platform on the Community Lab. The Connected Network podcast has been made possible through funding and support from the Scottish Funding Council, the Challenges Group and Podplistic.